Well, most burns at home happen in the kitchen, but it's not the only room in the house where you need to be vigilant. It is Burn Awareness Week, and to talk more about that is fire captain with Burnaby Fire, BC's Professional Firefighters Burn Fund spokesperson, Jodi Kabernick. Thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, so an important conversation to have, and as we mentioned, kitchens, people are kind of aware of the risks that we have in kitchens, but what are the other rooms and areas of the home that you want people to be thinking about?
Yeah, for sure. Kitchens are definitely a place where burn injuries happen. So each year, BC Professional Firefighters Burn Fund launches a burn campaign. And this year's theme, we have preventing burns in the home. So that's our theme this week for that. So in the kitchen, we want to make a safe zone around our ovens, stoves, and microwaves. So that means keeping pets and kids out of that area when you are cooking. Just make sure that you do use stable and high heat resistant dishware. Make sure that it sits safely on top of surfaces and it won't tip or fall. And then when you are using the stove, to make sure that your pots have tight lids on them and that all your handles are facing inward toward the stove.
Yeah, and I guess these things can happen so quickly and leave someone with really painful injuries. In that moment, say you do suffer a burn, what should you do?
Yeah, so if that does happen, we just recommend that you do run cool water, not ice cold water, but cool water over top of your burn for 10 minutes. And then make sure, obviously, that you do call 911, or if you can, transport your loved one to the nearest facility right away to have that looked at.
And, kitchen appliances aren't the only concern. Space heaters right now, it's winter, it's cold. How big of a concern are space heaters?
Yeah, so space heaters, obviously with a cold snap that we're having right now, are definitely being utilized. So they're being used in bedrooms, offices, living rooms. So we just ask that when you do use a space heater that you keep about a 3-foot radius around that space heater away from any kind of fabric. So that would be curtains that you have, bedding or blankets, just to be really aware that any fabric isn't touching those. And also some space heaters do come equipped now with a fall-over technology. So if it does happen to fall over, it will shut off. If you don't have one of those space heaters, we recommend that when you leave the room, you just unplug that to mitigate that risk.
Yeah, a fireplace is another safety risk. And you mentioned kids. I have young kids myself, and normally if I have lots of stuff going on in the kitchen, I try and keep them out of the kitchen so they're out of harm's way. But what are some of the tips you want parents to keep in mind?
Yeah, so that's a good one. When you are cooking or even when you're drinking a hot beverage, 70% of the burns that we see are from hot liquids or steam. And in that, 78% of those burns happen to children under the age of 6. So it's really important that when you do have a child with you, that if you do have a hot beverage, that you put a lid on it, just to mitigate that risk of them accidentally knocking that over and it falling on them. That's just really important. So if you have a kid, get a lid is kind of a saying that we can use for that.
All right, so important. And tell us about some of the programs that you're involved with to provide support to the community when it comes to burns.
Yeah, so BC Professional Firefighters Burn Fund provides many opportunities for burn survivors to connect. We have an education program online. It's a 2 Hots for Tots program, which gives you education towards the toddler age. And then once children are a little bit older, from infants to 6, they can come to Little Lionhearts, which is a family camp that we do. We run it for 1 weekend, and siblings and family members or caregivers are welcome to come. And then once kids are from 6 to 18, they get to come to actual burn camp, which is another overnight camp, 6 days of fun. After that, we have Thrive for our young adults to just really continue that camaraderie between burn survivors and places for them to connect. The Burn Fund Center is awesome. They do adult burn survivor programs, and the Home Away from Home program is also just a fantastic thing that the Burn Fund offers too.
Wonderful. Well, we've certainly hopefully raised the concern for a lot of people that are watching this morning and prevented some people from getting burns. So Jodi, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, no problem. And if anybody wants to, they can go onto the Burn Fund website and have a look for more tips, or feel free to donate.
All right, fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And we're going to turn things over to Caitlin.